What if the secret to keeping your muscles strong well into your 70s and 80s was not hidden in chia seeds, smoothies, or expensive supplements, but in a humble, everyday food that most people overlook? What if this food could not only build muscle, but also reverse one of the most silent yet devastating processes of aging, sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass, strength, and vitality that begins as early as our 30s? For decades, the wellness world has celebrated superfoods like chia seeds, flax seeds, and goji berries. They are packed with fiber, antioxidants, and omega-3 fats, no doubt. But here is the hard truth. None of these are powerful enough to counter the cellular, hormonal, and metabolic changes that cause muscle breakdown as we age. Chia seeds might look good in a smoothie bowl, but they are not going to rescue your mitochondria, rebuild lost muscle tissue, or stop the downward spiral of sarcopenia. So what does? Before we name it, let us zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Sarcopenia does not happen overnight. It begins subtly. Maybe you notice climbing stairs feels harder, lifting groceries takes more effort, or recovery from exercise takes longer. Underneath these experiences, your muscle fibers are shrinking. Your mitochondria, the energy factories in your cells, are slowing down, and your body's ability to synthesize new protein is becoming less efficient. This is called anabolic resistance, and it is one of the hallmarks of aging. Today, we are diving deep into a food that research now shows can turn on muscle-building genes, enhance mitochondrial function, and fight inflammation at the cellular level, three of the biggest root causes of muscle decline. And what is even more fascinating is that this food is not exotic, not expensive, and not trendy. It is scientifically proven, metabolically active, and has been quietly sitting in plain sight while we chase the latest health fad. But here is the empowering part. Science has shown that sarcopenia is not inevitable. It is reversible. The body, even in later decades, retains the ability to regenerate and strengthen muscle tissue if given the right signals through nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle. Throughout this episode, we are going to unpack those signals. We will look at how certain foods activate key pathways like mTOR, the master regulator of muscle growth, and how specific amino acids, micronutrients, and phytochemicals can repair mitochondrial damage, improve insulin sensitivity, and reignite your muscles' youthful metabolism. Because the goal here is not simply to live longer, it is to live stronger. By the end of this deep dive, you will not only know which food is superior to chia seeds for muscle health, but you will understand why it works at the cellular and metabolic level. You will also learn how to use it, when to eat it, how to pair it, and what lifestyle habits make its effects even stronger. Let us begin with a hard truth. Muscle loss does not happen because we simply get older. It happens because over time, the biological machinery inside our cells begins to change. The same meal that built muscle easily in your 20s or 30s becomes far less effective in your 50s or 60s. You might be eating protein, even exercising, yet still losing lean mass. This process is called anabolic resistance, and it is the central driver of sarcopenia. Here is what happens at the cellular level. Your muscles are in a constant state of turnover, breaking down old tissue and rebuilding new fibers. This rebuilding depends on a signal called muscle protein synthesis, triggered by key amino acids, especially leucine, and activated through a cellular pathway known as mTOR, or mechanistic target of rapamycin. When you are young, mTOR responds quickly. A moderate protein meal can flip the switch and build new tissue efficiently. But as we age, inflammation, oxidative stress, and hormonal changes dampen this response. The muscle cell essentially becomes deaf to the signal. Now, many people turn to so-called superfoods like chia seeds, hoping to slow this decline. Chia seeds are rich in plant-based omega-3 fats, fiber, and antioxidants, which do support general metabolic health. However, they lack the amino acid density, particularly leucine, lysine, and methionine, required to strongly stimulate mTOR and rebuild muscle fibers. A tablespoon of chia seeds offers barely 1 gram of protein and almost no bioavailable leucine. That means biologically they cannot generate the same anabolic response as other protein-dense foods. This is where the misunderstanding begins. Wellness marketing often conflates nutrient diversity with muscle-building efficiency. Yes, chia seeds contain valuable nutrients, but for preventing sarcopenia, the focus must shift from general nutrition to targeted cellular nourishment, specifically the nutrients that reawaken M2R and support mitochondrial regeneration. Another key player is mitochondrial function. Your mitochondria are the energy engines inside muscle cells, producing adenosine triphosphate, the molecule that powers every contraction, repair, and growth process. With age, mitochondrial activity slows and damaged mitochondria accumulate. The result is less energy for protein synthesis and more oxidative stress. This accelerates muscle loss. Here is the empowering part. Research shows that through precise nutrition and lifestyle strategies, mitochondrial function can be restored. Certain amino acids, coenzymes, and antioxidants directly support mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria. That means, even in your 70s, your cells can generate fresh energy factories capable of sustaining muscle growth and metabolic vitality. Let me make this simple. If you imagine your muscle as a construction site, amino acids are the building materials, mitochondria are the power tools, and hormones like insulin and IGF-1 are the foremen coordinating the work. When inflammation and mitochondrial decline set in, the power goes out and the workers lose direction. You can dump in all the chia seeds you want, but without power and coordination, the building does not go up. That is why understanding the root cause matters more than chasing trends. Chia seeds support health. They just do not build muscle. To do that, you need a food that reignites M2R, powers up mitochondria, and quenches inflammation simultaneously. Inflammation is the third major root cause. Chronic low-grade inflammation, often called inflammaging, interferes with the signaling between hormones, muscle receptors, and growth factors. It disrupts insulin sensitivity, making it harder for nutrients to enter cells effectively. This is why building muscle after midlife requires not only the right food, but also reducing systemic inflammation through sleep, stress management, and micronutrient optimization. If this breakdown is resonating with you so far, go ahead and press the hype button, drop a quick comment, and hit subscribe. It helps more people discover this kind of science-backed health content. Now, we are going to explore exactly what that food is and how it can rebuild muscle tissue from the inside out, even in later decades of life. Let us reveal the star of this episode, the food that outperforms chia seeds, revitalizes muscle cells, and directly combats sarcopenia, eggs. Now, before you think, that is too simple, understand this. Eggs are one of the most scientifically validated, nutrient-dense, and muscle-supportive foods on the planet. And when consumed correctly, they activate muscle-building pathways at the cellular level that plant-based sources simply cannot replicate. Here's what the research shows. Eggs contain the highest biological value of protein found in any whole food. That means their amino acid profile, especially leucine, lysine, and methionine, is almost perfectly aligned with human muscle tissue requirements. Every time you eat an egg, you deliver to your muscles the exact building blocks they need to trigger M2R activation, the genetic switch that turns on muscle protein synthesis. Let me break that down simply. Imagine mTOR as a light switch. It turns on when specific amino acids, particularly leucine, reach a critical threshold in your bloodstream. One large egg provides about 400 to 500 milligrams of leucine, but when eaten as part of a protein-rich meal, it contributes to the 2 to 3 grams of leucine required to fully stimulate this anabolic pathway. Once activated, mTOR signals your ribosomes to begin assembling new muscle proteins. This is how your body repairs, strengthens, and rebuilds muscle fibers. But eggs do far more than just provide amino acids. They also contain vital micronutrients that support mitochondrial function and cellular energy production, nutrients that are often overlooked in muscle research. These include choline, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and selenium. Choline supports the synthesis of acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that allows muscle fibers to contract efficiently. Vitamin B12 and selenium assist in mitochondrial energy metabolism, ensuring that your cells have the power to perform and recover. Recent studies have shown that whole eggs, not just egg whites, amplify this effect. One landmark trial conducted at the University of Illinois found that consuming whole eggs after resistance exercise stimulated greater muscle protein synthesis than consuming the same amount of protein from egg whites alone. because the yolk contains bioactive lipids and micronutrients that enhance amino acid absorption and mitochondrial signaling. In other words, the yolk tells your body how to use the protein. Eggs also have anti-inflammatory properties due to their content of phospholipids and lutein, which support cell membrane integrity and reduce oxidative stress. This is particularly important for aging muscles, where chronic inflammation blunts anabolic signaling. By lowering oxidative damage, eggs create a cellular environment that favors growth and repair. Now, here's what makes this even more interesting: the synergy between eggs and exercise. When you pair egg-based protein intake with resistance training, the impact on muscle strength and mitochondrial density multiplies. Exercise activates mTOR through mechanical tension, while eggs activate it through nutrition. The two signals converge, amplifying protein synthesis and promoting long-term muscle preservation. It is worth noting that not all eggs are equal. Nutrient density can vary significantly based on how the hens are raised. Pasture-raised eggs, for instance, have higher levels of omega-3 fats, vitamin D, and antioxidants compared to conventionally raised ones. These compounds further support mitochondrial health and reduce inflammation, making pasture-raised eggs a superior choice for muscle longevity. So when people say chia seeds are a great protein source, it is true only in a very general sense. But if you are aiming to rebuild muscle, fight sarcopenia, and restore cellular strength, the data points clearly to eggs. They are nature's most efficient muscle repairing package, complete, bioavailable, and synergistic with the physiology of aging. If you are enjoying this breakdown, consider subscribing. I post weekly deep dives into longevity science, nutrition, and the cellular mechanisms that keep your body young. Now that we know eggs are far more than a breakfast staple, let us look at what actually happens inside your cells when you eat them. Because understanding the mechanisms, not just the headlines, is what allows you to use food strategically to build resilience, longevity, and strength. Now, we will zoom in further to understand exactly what happens inside your muscle cells when you eat eggs, how mitochondria, hormones, and genes interact to make this simple food a molecular powerhouse. Here is where the process gets fascinating. The presence of insulin amplifies this effect. When you consume eggs alongside a modest source of carbohydrates, like vegetables or whole grains, insulin helps shuttle amino acids into your cells more efficiently. This synergy creates the perfect biochemical environment for muscle growth, a combination of nutrient availability and anabolic signaling. When you eat eggs, digestion breaks down their proteins into individual amino acids, which then enter your bloodstream. Among these, leucine plays the starring role. Leucine acts as a metabolic messenger. It tells your muscle cells that the raw materials for building are available, and it triggers a cascade through the mTOR pathway. Think of mTOR as the central control tower of muscle growth. Once activated, it orders the ribosomes inside your muscle fibers to start assembling new proteins, leading to muscle repair and hypertrophy. Now let us talk about mitochondria, the cellular engines that power this entire process. Every muscle contraction, every repair, and every act of regeneration depends on adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency produced by mitochondria. As we age, mitochondrial efficiency declines and oxidative stress increases. This not only lowers energy output, but also triggers chronic inflammation, which blunts mTOR activation. The nutrients in eggs, particularly riboflavin, vitamin B2, selenium, and coenzyme Q10 precursors, support mitochondrial function directly. They help maintain the electron transport chain, the series of reactions that produce energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate. More energy means faster protein synthesis, stronger muscle contractions, and improved recovery. Another fascinating effect happens in the nucleus of your muscle cells. When leucine and other essential amino acids enter, they influence the expression of genes involved in mitochondrial biogenesis. One key player is PGC1 alpha, a transcription factor that tells your cells to make more mitochondria. So, when you eat eggs, you are not only fueling your existing muscle machinery, you are actually instructing your body to build new engines for long-term energy production. But eggs also contribute to lowering oxidative stress, thanks to compounds like lutein and zeaxanthin. These antioxidants stabilize cell membranes and protect mitochondrial DNA from damage. Why does that matter? Because damaged mitochondria leak reactive oxygen species, which can perpetuate a vicious cycle of inflammation and fatigue. Protecting these organelles is one of the key strategies for reversing the cellular aging process. You might wonder, what about cholesterol in eggs? Excellent question. The idea that dietary cholesterol from eggs raises blood cholesterol has been largely debunked by modern research. For most individuals, cholesterol from food has minimal impact on blood lipid levels because the body adjusts its own cholesterol production. In fact, cholesterol is essential for muscle repair, hormone synthesis, and maintaining cell membrane integrity, all vital components of muscle recovery and resilience. If you are finding this helpful, tap the hype button and share your thoughts in the comments. And of course, subscribe if you want more deep dives into nutrition and longevity science. Let me make this visual. Imagine your muscle cell as a city. mTOR is the mayor authorizing new construction, amino acids are the workers bringing materials, and mitochondria are the power plants supplying energy. When you eat eggs, you are delivering both the materials and the power to expand the city efficiently and sustainably. Chia seeds, in contrast, might deliver a few workers and a bit of fuel, but nowhere near the resources required for real rebuilding. So, let us start with timing, the rhythm that dictates how effectively your body turns nutrition into strength. Research shows that the muscle protein synthesis response is most powerful within a window of 1 to 2 hours following resistance exercise. This period is sometimes called the anabolic window, and it is when your muscle cells are most receptive to amino acids. Consuming eggs or another high-quality protein source during this window can amplify muscle building signals by as much as 50% compared to eating later in the day. Let us take this one step further. Eating the right food is powerful, but eating it at the right time and in the right way can completely change how your body responds. The difference between a modest benefit and a measurable transformation in muscle mass often comes down to timing, pairing, and absorption. Up next, we will explore how to maximize the impact of this muscle-building food by timing it strategically, pairing it with the right nutrients, and optimizing absorption. This is where precision nutrition truly comes to life. Now let us talk about pairing, the nutrients that make eggs even more effective. One essential partner is vitamin D. It acts as a hormonal signal that regulates calcium metabolism and supports muscle contraction strength. Studies have shown that people with adequate vitamin D levels have greater muscle function and lower risk of falls as they age. Combining eggs, which already contain some vitamin D, with moderate sun exposure or fatty fish can optimize these effects. In practical terms, this means that after your workout, whether it is resistance training, body weight exercises, or even brisk walking combined with some strength work, having a meal with 2 to 3 eggs, along with a source of complex carbohydrates, can dramatically improve recovery and muscle repair. The carbohydrates help replenish glycogen and release insulin, which works synergistically with leucine to enhance amino acid uptake. However, timing is not limited to the post-workout period. Older adults, in particular, benefit from protein distribution throughout the day. Instead of eating most protein in one large evening meal, spacing it evenly around 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal keeps the mTOR pathway active multiple times during the day. This approach counteracts anabolic resistance and supports continuous maintenance of lean muscle tissue. Another important cofactor is magnesium. Magnesium assists in adenosine triphosphate production and supports over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, many of which involve muscle contraction and relaxation. Leafy greens, avocados, and pumpkin seeds complement eggs beautifully for this reason. Omega-3 fats, found in salmon, sardines, and walnuts, are another key synergy. They help reduce inflammation, increase insulin sensitivity, and enhance the anabolic response to protein intake. Pairing eggs with an omega-3 rich food creates a metabolic environment that favors muscle growth while dampening chronic inflammation, a critical combination for reversing sarcopenia. Absorption also plays a pivotal role. For amino acids and micronutrients to reach your muscles, digestion must be efficient. Chewing thoroughly, eating in a calm state, and ensuring sufficient stomach acid levels are all vital. Many older adults unknowingly suffer from low stomach acid, which impairs protein digestion. Simple practices like starting your meal with a few bites of fermented vegetables or a small splash of diluted apple cider vinegar can support optimal digestion and nutrient uptake. Before we move on, a quick reminder, if you are enjoying this, smash that hype button, like, comment, and subscribe. It really supports the channel and helps spread these science-backed strategies to more people who want to age stronger, not weaker. Let me illustrate this with a visual analogy. Think of your meal as an orchestra. The protein is the melody, the timing is the rhythm, and the supporting nutrients are the harmonies that bring everything to life. Miss any one of these and the music falls flat. But when they all align, the result is a powerful biological symphony that strengthens, repairs, and rejuvenates your muscle tissue. Next, we will explore how lifestyle synergy, exercise, sleep, and hormesis magnifies everything we have discussed so far, turning your daily habits into a metabolic multiplier for longevity.